considered how I'm going to structure this. So I'm just going to blur this out. So this is the first time we've all been together this year. I've literally just got back from Bali yesterday, and for context, I wanted to do a content piece of the most unbelievable experience over the last couple of weeks and what it means, and it's going to be called Overcoming Addiction. And the meaning of that will become fairly obvious as we go through this. So, to put in perspective, I love being someone who can become better. I love measuring myself. I love every part about becoming what I term as elite, acting elite. You know, people say, "Are you successful?" to people. I love the term. I look at the term, "Am I acting successfully?" instead of "Are you successful?" And you know when you're acting successfully. The end result doesn't matter. It's a part of, are you acting successfully? I love acting better. I love finding ways of making myself a better human, growing, and I've done so much work in this over the last 5, 6, 7 years, and I just know when you're in that flow of just joy, right? When you're just killing life, when you're doing all the things that you know make you better, and you just become a power human. Everyone knows how that feels when they're just in the mindset, and you're just smart, you're fast, you're happy, you're funny, you've got patience, you're just in love, you've got all these different things going on around you. That's the life I love, and I find new ways of measuring it so I can keep in that space, or try to get to that space constantly. That's where I strive to be. Knowledge in that area is massive, and daily routines, how I feed my body, how I've learned to adjust certain things, how I train, the people I surround myself with, they're all aspects of what is the I suppose the pursuit of happiness, really. It's when I'm acting well, I can lead well, I can just do all those things I enjoy doing, do them to the best of I can, and help as many people around me as I possibly can. Obviously, at some stage last year, I fell off that horse, and I was kind of aware of it during this period, and it became more and more apparent as last year, 2019, went on, especially in the second half, and especially towards the end of it. I just lost. I knew I wasn't doing my little 1%ers. I knew I wasn't having my cold shower at 4:30 in the morning. I knew I wasn't up at 4:30 in the morning. I was making excuses about that. I like having my power hours in that first couple of hours of the day. I was finding more excuses for that. I was arriving at my desk in the morning and checking Facebook and checking Instagram and checking LinkedIn and checking TikTok and all these different things. And towards the end of the day, I was getting tired, so I was drinking more coffees, I was having more stimulants, I was drinking, and I'm not saying this is a negative thing. What this piece is, it's not good for me, and I was living what I deem against myself. This is purely not judgment against anyone in the world. This is purely against me, and that's what this whole thing is about. I was living a very mediocre life. I was excuse driven. I was taking my eye off the ball. I just wasn't using what I've been given to help anywhere near as powerfully those around me. And I can always hide things. I can always hide them and not make it look like there's any issue. And because I'm so good at that, I'm fairly uncomfortable now talking about it. Because I'm so good at that, it just becomes more of a habit. And again, I'm spiraling down this. Something's wrong. I'm spiraling down this hole. So that's what I was aware of at the time. Look at me, I'm bloody nervous and touching stuff now. So that's what I was aware of at the time. I just didn't know what to do about it. I didn't think there was anything I could do. I didn't think all these many things. All I knew is I knew how to live, for me, an elite life, and I wasn't doing it. and I wanted to, and I wasn't doing all the things that allowed my body to and my mind to be powerful enough to live at this level. And I was getting really frustrated, and that just sent me further and further down the hole. And it got to a point where then November, December came. Obviously, you guys know that I had a lot of events, and there was a lot of hanging out, and there was a lot of just things that took me further away from where I want to be, from where I like my norm to be. Drinking, hanging out with new people, late nights, early mornings, just wore me down, completely wore me down. Stresses from here, there, all these different places, and because my digestion, I was putting into my body not the right stuff. My body couldn't handle it. My mind couldn't handle what I was going through, and I kind of knew it at the time. But you just, oh Luke, come on, just pick it up, just keep going, whatever. Just dig in. That was a mistake, it turned out, and got to a point where just after Christmas, so we obviously split up office-wise and normality around about the 20th, 21st, whatever it was. Then I host Christmas, and this year was a smaller one. It was like 36 people for Christmas, and that's another couple of big days. My birthday, big day, and New Year, all this knock on. I was at empty level. And I've never been even close to being as low mentally as I was just after Christmas, I reckon. I think it was, and I was so short, and I was short leading up to it, but got to a point where I just sort of stopped and reached out to my wife, Court, and just told her. I said, "Look, this isn't a joke. This is something serious going on here. I don't know what it is, but I am cactus. We need to do something." And we looked at, I spoke with a very close friend of mine, and he had just been on a retreat to Bali on his own. He's got a pregnant wife and kid, and he'd just been on a retreat to Bali. Similar sort of thing. He was just burned out. I'd never considered it. A week away from the family, a week doing all this crazy stuff in Bali and healing and meditation. I'd never considered it. Later that day, I had a bit of a breakdown with Court, and I said, "Look, went on a retreat, and that caused a bit more angst. But then over 24 hours of just, I suppose, processing, we decided, okay, well, we're not going to just go. I'm not going to go and get a massage or anything like this. I've got to give this the respect it deserves." We ended up booking a holiday to Bali. Bali is our paradise. Bali is where we got married, and where I find myself able to relax and just have family time. But I still needed more than that, and I didn't know what I was going for. That was the thing. This was literally flying blind. We had the idea. 3 days later, we're in Bali, and it's around a full moon. In Bali, in Hindu, full moons are celebrated. Religious time, and look, we got to Bali, and it was immediately great because Zen, zone out, massages, eat nice food, not drink, not have coffee, just completely trying to get myself back, spend mindful time with Faith. That took about a day or so, and I spend loads of time with Faith, but my Faith and my daughter. Different when I'm totally, and I'd like to tell myself I'm totally about her, but I'm not, it turns out. And that I was aware. It was another thing I was making excuses for. Anyway, we get there. Unreal. And we booked me into a retreat, and it was a company called 5 Elements. It's not about them, it's not a sponsored piece or anything. But there was a full moon. It was Thursday the 9th of January. So happens that the businesses are fairly quiet at this point. Let's do it. Let's go and put me away in the hills of Ubud for a day. It was beautiful. It was a delight for a couple of days. Let's put my trust in Courtney to put me a healing package together. And at this point, I'm such a cynic. What is all this about? I've never cared about these different things, and I've got the picture of my healing my healing timetable. Anyway, I rocked up at this place in Ubud. Take a step back. The yogis, I learned, describe life as the three levels of the mind, three main levels of the mind, as instinctive, intellectual, and intuitional. And they I'm not saying this is right or wrong, I'm not saying I know much about this, but the instinctive stuff is, I'm going to use the analogy of a chocolate bar. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you're getting down, you're tired. Oh, I need to I fancy a chocolate bar. You're going to have a chocolate bar, you're up for about 3 minutes and then you go down again. You know it's the wrong thing, but instinctively you just go to whatever ticks the easy box. You think of a cigarette, you go and have a cigarette. Whatever that might be, you just do it. You act at a very mediocre level. There's no real thought process going in. Something else is ruling your mind. You're not aware, you're not remembering you're in control of anything. A fire rises, you put the fire out. Someone else calls, you take the call, you do this. Everything's dragging you from place to place, and you're almost like just putting out fires in your life, in your work, in everywhere around you, just completely all the time. That's instinctive stuff they call. The intellectual stuff is when you can say, okay, well, I'm a bit down, I want a chocolate bar, but I know chocolate bars are bad for me. I know sugar is the drug that will potentially be the worst drug of all human time. Should I have that chocolate bar, or should I do the right thing and go and have some tuna and rice, or go and get a chicken sushi, or should I go and do something different to try and boost me up? Should I hydrate? Should I have a litre of water and then make a decision? That's sort of more an intellectual way of looking at things, putting reasoning behind. And then they've got the intuitional. The intuitional piece is, I don't need to eat the chocolate bar. I know full well that my body can go without this and without food, and I know the benefit of not giving my body food and water. On fasting, intermittent fasting, if you haven't looked into this, look into it thoroughly. The benefits on cognition, the benefits on life, on cancer, on all these different ailments. Fasting is definitely, unequivocally beneficial. So I don't need this chocolate bar. So I can rise above. Intuition is just following that thing that you're not sure on the answer, but you kind of want to explore it, and you're just not quite sure where the path is leading, but you're going that way in hope and in anticipation of it being the right thing. I'll go more into that shortly. I put my faith in somebody here and ended up at this retreat. First thing I did was go in, check in. I took my journal, that was so important. I had a massage immediately just to try and get me into this zone, trying to stop me being so much of a cynic with everything. So now I've had a massage, now I'm relaxed, and now I'm walking around, and I've just made up my mind that I'm going to really go into this for 2 days. I've taken 2 days away from my wife and my daughter on what many people would see as a holiday. So I need to now use this time. I'm sad, I don't want to be there, honestly. I just had no care, I just didn't want to be there. I wanted to be with those guys by the pool doing holiday stuff. But then I made the decision and committed to myself that I was going to use this time wisely. That was my commitment to Faith, my daughter. So I strolled around barefoot, bananas. So I'm just overcoming this injury, and I'm meant to be wearing very supported shoes or big lace-up shoes, and I just wanted to be barefoot for some reason while I was there. It was really weird. Did a lot of journaling, read my journal, skimmed over it for the last 6 months, found out all these different, what I term, I was just ticking the boxes. I wasn't going deep in my journaling, my gratitude, all these different things that I like to preach, that I preach on the outside and tell everybody, but I hadn't been doing them. That's the key here. I've been telling people I'm still living this elite standard, and I don't think I haven't. That why am I doing that? I don't know. I suppose it comes down to, found out that it came down to ego. So walked around for a few hours. That night was the full moon. Done a lot of journaling, a lot of meditation, a lot of breathing exercises, Wim Hof method breathing exercises, and I rocked up now to this fire ceremony. What's a fire ceremony? A fire ceremony they have every month over there. And again, don't quote me, don't break this down. I don't know the ins and outs of what I'm talking about here, but from what I gather, from what I've learned, is a fire ceremony allows you to take all the feeling and emotion that you've had in the month previous and commit it to fire and commit it to the atmosphere. So if something was, I'm eating that chocolate bar, I've got to stop eating chocolate. I'm going to commit to the fire. I'm going to write it down on a piece of paper. I'm going to put it in the fire. I'm going to burn it. I'm not going to eat chocolate for a month, or I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to smoke cigarette. I'm just going to get rid of this negative emotion that's clouding my mind. So I didn't write anything down because, again, cynic, ego, consistently. And we're doing all this chanting and it's going around. There's about 60 people but around this beautiful stone temple. It's not a temple, it's an open end. It's almost like a marquee. Stone roof, stone floor with a fire pit in the middle. And just trying to get myself engaged as much as possible, but I'm still looking around. It took me a while just to really focus in on what's going on here. And when I finally became more present, I'm looking at the fire, I'm mesmerized by fire. And I'm thinking more deeply about what I've been doing, what I've been doing wrong, what I've been doing right, why am I here, what am I going to get from it? And I'm thinking of these different areas of improve in my life. And with their cues, the cues of the priests, the Balinese priests, there were 6 of them on the inner circle, and then everyone else is sat around. And we're sat in these little cushions, and we're sat in a yogi position, and I'm killing already. I'm so uncomfortable. But at the same time, I'm just entering this moment of flow in my mind, looking at the fire, mesmerized, and just thinking, okay, well, what are these things? What do I want to get rid of? And I want to get rid of there's a couple of things. One is a mediocre lifestyle for myself, making excuses. Mediocre meaning I'm not doing the things I know can make me better. Why the hell am I not doing these things? What the hell am I letting other thoughts take control of me? Why do I need uppers, downers, excuses, not doing this, not doing that, and still trying to live this life of telling people that I am doing it when it's fake, when it's all fugazi. So this mediocrity I need to remove. There's distraction has become an epidemic in my mindset. I'm completely addicted to distraction, and I've allowed that, and it's crept in again. And I don't understand why. I've let it, but notifications, you see this, that, and the other. I feel like a big mouse just going to the different cheeses every time something pops up or does something, and I'm not doing the work that I should be doing. Sure, from the outside it looks all fine and rosy, but I see myself as being able to do some really good work, some really world-class work, some really elite stuff, and I'm not doing it because I'm just too distracted. I'm not focusing. I'm not getting I used to have it in my power hours in the morning, which I've allowed to just dissipate. I'm not focusing on that world-class needle mover stuff that can change the game, not just for me, but for every single person around me. That's where I get my vitality from on a work stage. But it's the same personally. I'm not focusing on that needle mover father-son time or being a great husband time. I'm just not. So distraction has been a big piece. I need to get rid of that. And then there was a really cool thing in this Agi Hotra, which is a fire ceremony. We were all given baby coconuts at this time. Far out. At this time, we had about 60 people around us, and then a group of tourists came in, and there was about 10 or 12 or 15 or whatever it was, and they all arrived. I'm looking around again with ego, with emotion, just looking, why are you late? What are you doing? And I looked at the priests, how they handled it, and it was just a complete open arms scenario. Come. Everything stopped, and all the different pieces along that little way. Everything we'd done, we got the red mark on the chakra spot. We'd got a band showing that we'd been at this fire ceremony, and there's me thinking, what are you doing to my? There's me thinking, what are you guys doing to my thing here? Why are you? It's all about me. And for the priests, it was all about them. Just come on in. Everyone's open arms. Everyone's open. So to put that in context, then they gave us all these little coconuts, baby coconuts, and you had to go away and break them and feed the water the coconut water to the land, and then bring the coconuts back in. And you had to throw the coconuts into the fire. Previously, we were throwing seeds and lentils and flowers into this fire as a gift, as a way of taking out all the stories and emotion from your mind. Now we've got these coconuts, and it was great. We've got 70 plus people now, all with broken coconuts, and the priest said, okay, well, you guys over there are going to throw them in first. You guys over there are going to be 2, 3, 4, 5. So we had this thing, and then they said, picture this coconut as now your ego that you have just broken, and you are going to throw it away, and you're going to eliminate it. Oh my God. So that was the third thing. Instantly got my attention. That broke my ego, and we threw the ego into the fire and disappeared. So now the ego, you have to think, is now, the three things are mediocrity, it is distraction, and ego. When I look down to my weaknesses, all my weaknesses over this last however long can be put to one of those three things. The excuses, the crappy lifestyle, the impatientness, it's all a mediocre lifestyle. I'm not blaming distraction, but distraction is a part of the whole process again, and it's all overwhelmingly brought together by ego. So now I'm just in. Now there's more people coming up to the fire, and mentally I'm welcoming them. Okay, Luke, you've got to do something. You've got to make change here. You welcome people in, and not always have all the answers. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's just this, I don't know, this ride we're going on. So that was really quite unbelievable. And then more and more people came, and it just got to a point where it was there was chanting, there was songs, there was singing, there was bouncing. It was just the most incredible experience. And I had no knowledge of what it was about. And I loved it. It was great fun. And I took out of it. I went for dinner in the restaurant on my own. Purposely didn't speak to anybody. I just wanted my own healing time. And I'm there thinking, okay, well, I've got three things out of this. Those three things are ego, mediocrity, and distraction. So what I'm actually going to do, Toast, is I'm going to get you to do me up a nice little header or a nice little design. Completely remove this, ego, mediocrity, distraction. I'm going to have it as my screensaver. Makes a little difference. I've already removed all notifications on my phone. That made a massive difference. When I'm ready, I'll go into my text messages. When I'm ready, I'll go into my emails. I don't have the number, that little red number in the corner of your email icon that says 56 Facebook notification messages come through there in one top corner, and all these different. I look at my screen, I'm like, whoa, 900 different things happening. Now I just look at my screen, and when I'm ready, I've taken. This is the first step. I've taken my power back. I've taken my power back from distraction, from my mobile device, from my screen. When I'm ready, I'm going to go into LinkedIn or Facebook or messages or missed calls, and when it's on my. Sure, it's not always going to be that black and white in terms of calls and messages and emails, but right now I've taken my power back, and I'm going to see how that fits, how that suits, and it's great immediately. A lot less mental pressure. Anyway, back in. I want to have that as my screensavers. I want to be reminded. I need to be reminded these three things are the poison that has created this hole in my mental health over the last period of time. So that's my fire ceremony story. I go back and I journal all about it. I have a swim. I speak with Courtney. She sends me a couple of messages of Faith saying good night, and it's just magic. The following morning I get up and I do a yoga session. I get up and I journal. I walk around the grounds. I have my tea. I do a yoga session. And that was the first chance I had to remove ego. Yoga is the prime example, and I'm such a competitive person. I don't do yoga. I'm not a yoga practitioner, but I want to be able to do all these cool moves, and I want everybody around me to know I can do them, and I want mirrors so I can see that I can do them. And it's just stupid. So that was my first reminder. Okay, well, this is a perfect opportunity for me to remove ego and take a step back and not make it about me. And that was cool. That was literally the first time I had to put it in practice. And I was still about me, but I tried to take a step back. It's a slow process. I go and have breakfast, and now on the second day I had a chakra balancing session. I had a water blessing, and I had some Ananda meditation lined up, and I wasn't looking forward to this. I didn't know. I had no real care. I was just a cynic. So I went into this chakra balancing, and I said to the guy, what am I doing here? And he said, don't worry, I will tell you as the time goes on. Okay, no problem. He was a lovely guy. I went and had a foot bath, or had the tea and the incense and all that, and then I came back in, and I'm not saying this, I'm not preaching this is the only way to become better with anything, but at that particular time, I've made a commitment to my daughter that I want to change, and I'm putting my attention wholly into this. Starts going through my 7 chakras, and again, I don't know too much about this. Some of them were good, some of them, after he went through some intense movement and motions, and I'm on a big massage table, and he's manipulating me and doing his thing, and he came back halfway through and said, look, let's have a discussion now. You have some certain areas of your body that are blocked. Okay, again, still cynical. The spirituality and the communication chakra, they were all looked okay. The brain and the clarity was blocked. Nothing too major. It was caused from something else. Then he waved. I can't remember the name of the genital chakra. It's no secret. Court and I have had difficulties getting pregnant for many years. We were blessed with faith, and now we've had difficulties trying to conceive another child, miscarriages, etc. Court's always taken it personally, as a lot of women do. I don't have any issues with all the typical stuff. So it's, again, ego is, I'm okay, but I'm trying to be there for Court. I've said it so many times that it is about the pair. There could be the smallest thing in the world that is wrong with me, her. There could be nothing wrong with me, nothing wrong with her, but together you just don't bind. You don't get it. That's what sort of where we're at. Or there might be some things wrong with her, some things wrong with me, and you still don't bind. Whatever it is, that's however you choose to live life. If it's an issue, it's an issue, and you take it personally, and you take it to your ego. He said my genital chakra was blocked, and it's not an issue. He went on to saying, and this guy doesn't know me from a bar of soap. He doesn't know our story. He doesn't know whether I've got a kid or whether we've had issues or anything like that. So that immediately sparked my interest here. And he said it comes down to your heart, your love chakra. your love for yourself is empty, and you don't have anything to give to the world. You don't have anything to put out there to your family, to your friends, because you just ran yourself into a period where you don't love yourself. So then you're thinking, shit, this guy's right. You know, I know the way I look at my life, I look at it on a personal, as in me, and then a family, as in my immediate family, and then business standpoint. And I've always preached that. And I know when I'm firing personally. I know when I'm eating well, when I'm taking on all information, when I'm training hard, when I'm doing these things for me. I know I'm more patient. I know I'm a better father and husband and friend and leader. And then when these first two are in place, the business just flows, because I can affect things. I can make people around me better, and everyone just gets on the same page and pushes. I've known my personal stuff was empty for a while, but I'm still trying to play the game with the people around me that it's full, that I've got all this love to give, and I didn't. Like, I've got love, I'm always that, but I didn't have that genuine pot full of personal happiness that I could push from. And that's blocking all these other chakras. All of a sudden, this guy is so right. And again, I'm not preaching this chakra balancing is the savior of the world or anything like that. It was just what I needed at that time. It was just one metaphor of me learning. And elite. It was absolutely fabulous way of kicking my ass to remember that's what I'm missing. Funnily enough, the night before in my journaling, I literally wrote, and I'm going to put a screenshot in this YouTube vid. I had an argument with Courtney before I left for this retreat, and I'm totally uncomfortable that I am at this retreat. I don't want to be here. I can't remember the exact wording now, but it felt like I was being selfish. So that's where my mind immediately went to, as soon as I realized that the love for myself was blocked. And that's how I feel. I just always try. I've sort of got this mindset of always wanting to help others, and I haven't been helping myself. If I'd help myself, I can help the others on 10 times the level. That was big. That was big. It was like, again, that airplane warning that if the oxygen mask come down, put your own oxygen mask on before you help your child. All these different things that I know are right. It was so smart, so true. And then he went on to say something along the lines of, my daughter needs me, my family need me. And I just broke down. I just broke down into emotional disaster. I've never cried openly in front of a guy who I didn't know, just uncontrollably. And it was a beautiful learning curve. So that was my chakra balancing. Holy cow. I'm emotionally broken. I leave this place and I walk out this little hut, and there's this bird that just flies past me, and there's a butterfly that follows, and all these different things. And I'm just like, wow, I'm in space right now. I went for a water blessing. I rocked up to the water blessing. What is a water blessing? I had no clue. It was the top priest from the night before who made some holy water, or blessed the water to make the water holy, and I'm just in a complete mental, I don't even know the word for it. I was overwhelmed, mental overwhelm. And he asked me how I was, and I said I was overwhelmed, and I'm present, and I'm here, and I'm healing. And we went through this water blessing. It was a short blessing, and that was actually when Toby has already noticed I'm wearing some new jewelry, and it's not a thing. I'm not going to become whatever it might be. But I, at the fire ceremony, which you get this little piece of string wrapped around, and I'm going to keep that on for the whole of this moon, just to remind me while I'm still healing, while I'm now back in normality, just to remind me what an impact that particular night had on me. And then I got another one during the water blessing. So there was a couple of religious pieces there. I'm not religious. I don't preach one way or the other. But there's just a couple of little pieces on my wrist that will remind me for this moon that of what I learned and of what I'm trying to eliminate and what I'm trying to gain. So I received my second band and went back for a bite to eat, some vegan meal which was delicious, and back to journal some more and sit in the sun and sit in nature and walk around. And then I had my final piece that was in my time frame of the weekend or the couple of days was Ananda Meditation, and I was in my mind still cynical. I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, I'm knackered, I'm emotionally beat, I'm just going to rock up to this place and I'm going to lie down, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to probably sleep for an hour and a half, and that's what I need. I'm just exhausted. And I rock up and we start talking immediately about quantum physics and the story of life and how it became, how pure stillness and consciousness went round this curve through the effect of cosmic energy through the mind, and then into the five. Do you remember the five? What's it called? The five something of life. It goes gaseous. Five elements. Yes. Excuse me.
5 states.
The 5 states, the 5 elements, whatever it is. There's ethereum or gaseous and liquid and solid, and it becomes solid matter.
Yes.
And how what is it? Is it quantum physics? Is that what I said earlier?
Yeah.
So the theory of quantum physics, relativity, all that. Is that right? Am I being a bonehead?
A little bit of a bonehead. We didn't study physics, so we'll let it slide.
So anyway, so here's me. I'm knackered, and I'm all of a sudden I felt like I was in a uni class with none other than Dal Sim from Street Fighter 2. He was just this tall guy with these long limbs that he could just wrap around his shot. Unbelievable dexterity, and just so smart and calming, and going through all this. And I'm trying open mind. I'm just exhausted. And then he goes through all the flow of life, and where mind sits over matter, and literally mind over matter. It's in the chain before your mind does things on a level before it becomes liquid or gas or anything like that. The mind affects the world in a way a lot different to matter, and it's just that reminding me. This is what I took out of it, is that the mind has the access to do things that my body doesn't want to do. And the whole mind over matter thing, if there's a car sat there, I can't pick a car up. But if there's a car sat on top of Faith, you think you can pick the car up, and who knows where the hell you're going to go. You're going to just pick that car up and throw it down the street. So it's putting a bit of... I've been completely broken down this weekend, or this 2 days, and I've got all my emotion out, and then we're working on what I need to remove, what I need to build up, what I need to do. And now at the end of it, I'm being given this high level framework, and it just gives answers to it. And again, he was going through the yogis break the mindset down into 3 areas. The lowest level is instinct, putting out fires, putting out exactly what's in front of you, doing the easy thing, taking that the simple way, doing what you're used to doing, not really putting thought behind it, just doing. Then the intellectual manner. Okay, well, I know I shouldn't be doing that. I know I should be making changes, but I want to do this, but I know it's bad, but I want to do that, and I know that's good, so I'm going to try and swing the energy over here. And then there's the intuitional part that this gentleman taught me about. And I immediately told him, look, a week ago I didn't know I was in a hole. I was in a mental hole, and I didn't know what to do. All I knew is I needed to speak with somebody. I spoke with a friend. I spoke with Court. The idea was to go to Bali. The idea was to find a retreat. The idea was to do things that I am just not comfortable in doing. I didn't know what the answer was. This isn't a story of, oh, you went to wherever to find yourself. It's not that. I didn't know what I was doing. And at the end of this trip, at the end of this retreat, I'm being taught about intuitional, and that was the intuition that I had. I needed to speak with somebody. I needed to do something. I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know the answers that I was looking for. But in this 2 days away, I found every answer that I needed to find. I found it about myself, I found it about the people around me, and I found it about moving forward. And then I was given this beautiful framework around. And that was acting intuitionally. Didn't know the end goal. Didn't know the reasoning behind it. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know. But it turns out I did it. So that brought the whole thing back around. And I remember just walking out of there, I gave Dalsim this huge hug. He wasn't quite expecting it. I just had a lot of love to give. Jumped on top of him, just gave him a hug, and he made this sound. Oh, he was like surprised. He's very meditative, calming influence, and he's bendy and long, and there's me just jump on him like a gorilla and gave him a huge hug. I walked out of there just thinking, I am just amazed at the people around me and what's possible. Mental health is a huge thing right now, and it's can't be measured. It can't really be treated in many cases, because effects on the mind are in a place where they've never been before. The changes in technology, the changes in distraction, the changes in what you have access to in the last 10 years have been more than the previous 1,000. Still looking at studies from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and in some cases they're relevant, but this is a difficult time for mental health. And the reason I'm very open, I'm very honest about emotion when I'm zeroed in on it, and I'm very comfortable talking about it. I went through a hell of a time, and I didn't know it was a difficulty. So I like to bring difficulties out to the forefront and remove ego and say I wasn't okay, because who knows where that goes. Someone might watch this or listen to this and think, okay, well, I'm not okay, I need to reach out to somebody, and that's the gold. I needed to. And a lot of people see me as a big person who doesn't have anything wrong, I'm always smiling or whatever else. Inside I was killing, I was dying. And it's just nice to be able to speak openly about this, and hopefully it can influence one person out there to make their own change, because holy God, I feel just incredible now. I went back and spent time with Court and Faith, and now I've come back to people around me, and it's nice. The one final piece is getting back into normality. You see the same cues, as you see the same little mistakes. You see the chocolate bar sat on the countertop, and in the last 6 months I would have taken it and eaten it without anyone else looking. Overcoming those cues once you are made aware, that's the journey I'm on now. I have to live the life I know I can live on my own when nobody's looking. Work like many are watching. Take the ego out. I've been on the most incredible ride, and if this thing can help someone else go through a ride, or someone else increase their lifestyle, or help a friend, or do something, it's so worth the time. Ego, mediocrity, and distraction are my 3 pieces that I will be removing, and I will be trying hard every day to remove and leave behind. So this wasn't really meant as a story. I just wanted to almost take it out of my mind and put it into the open. I don't know what's going to happen with it. If you guys have any questions, if anyone has any questions, reach out. But I feel joyous, and that pursuit of happiness seems a lot closer.